Hey everybody, and welcome to Anime for Life. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a response video to someone's comment on, well, go figure, Twitter. And it's all based around a very well known series and center of debate now, The Last of Us 2. And this is where he says, name a better sequel than The Last of Us 2. You can't. So I look at that and I'm thinking, oh, really? There's not a single game in all of existence to ever come out that is better than The Last of Us 2. I personally think any sequel is better than The Last of Us 2. It started as an amazing series. I played the first one, thought it was great. And then they had to shit the bed with the second one. So I decided, you know what? Fine. I'll name a whole bunch for you. But there's a catch on that. And the catch is we can't have, as he so elegantly put it, no weeb shit. Okay, fine. That sure as hell narrows it down, because I do play a lot of weeb games. But I could still do it. Easily. So to start off, we have Doom. No, not this Doom. Whatever the fuck this shit was. This Doom. The classic first-person shooter that I've played since I was like 7 years old. It's got guns, it's got freaking amazing music, which just gets better as the series progressed, and great way to take your anger out without hurting anybody in real life. Because there's many days I'd want to do that, but you know, that's not exactly legal. So you throw on Doom and you have a good old demon wrecking time. And this series has been going on for literal decades. It's got like 5 or 6 games in the series now, I believe. 2 or 3 shitty movies? Well, the one I didn't mind, but yeah, that Annihilation, I don't know what the hell that was. Next one would be the Ace Combat series. I never played the original Ace Combat games. I started off with Ace Combat 4, and I really liked that game. And so I kept playing them on since then, and I played Shattered Skies, I played the Balkan Wars, I played all of those. And the music, the story, the immersion, and just to see how the graphics improved over the days, or years I should say, is incredible. Like, I remember in Unsung War, where, spoilers if you've never played, but where Chopper dies, the music that played in the background and the emotions of your other fellow co-pilots, it really got you in there, and it made you really want to avenge him. And in fact, I liked the song so much that I actually downloaded that tune to my phone. And same with the final boss level. Next up, we have the Diablo series. This one, again, I've been playing since I was just a wee kid, like 7, 8. And it's now got a mobile version, which I hear actually isn't the greatest, but I've never played, so I gotta kind of reserve judgment. But Diablo 2, Diablo 3, the original Diablo, Diablo Hellfire, like, those have become a cult classic. And they just recently made the remaster of Diablo 2, which really doesn't play any different than the original Diablo 2, just with better graphics, but that in itself is nice to see. It makes you feel like you're back in your kid's age again. And if you want, you actually can turn it to the original graphics. And I'm really looking forward to Diablo 4. So not only are these like sequels, and these are like triquels, and whatever you want to call after sequel. A lot of these on this list will have like 5 or 6 or more games. Next, we got the Command and Conquer series. Came out when I was just a little kid, about 7 years old actually. And as you can see, there's like fucking close to 16 games here. And I played most of them. I played Uprising, I played Command and Conquer Kane's Wrath, I played Command and Conquer 3, I played Red Alert 1. In fact, when I was a kid, we used to have tournaments all the time to see who could beat each other. And unfortunately, I lost most of them because people were mean to me and always picked on me first. But the story on this is quite engaging too. And later on, when you get to Tiberium Wars and Kane's Wrath and Red Alert 3 Uprising and the like, you actually get live action. And some really famous people like Tim Curry and George Takei. That one MMA fighter, he doesn't seem to be... Randy Couture, I think it was. He plays in it. And it just really sucks you in and you want to know more. And you just want to keep playing and playing and playing. And this series is like almost 30 years old. As far as I know, Uprising was the last one to come out. But I haven't really looked into it. So, but even still, to live 30 years, I would say that's good to be called a better sequel. Next, another popular favorite, StarCraft. The amount of tournaments I used to play against people, just friends or my brother or whatever, or just to play it. The amount of hours I put into this game are stupid. And whenever the new games attributed to the series came out, I would immediately play them. Like, I played the hell out of those. And if they ever made another one, like StarCraft 3 or whatever, because I believe the after StarCraft 2, it was really just expansions onto each other. But regardless, if they make any more, I would definitely play those again. I loved the Protoss. Next one, Age of Empires series. I played Age of Empires 1, Age of Empires 2, I played Age of Mythology, and they were all amazing games. I haven't played the most recent ones, and according to my brother who has, he says the most recent one's actually kind of shit. But aside from that, they've known really, really high success and have always received good, positive reviews from the people who play them and are loyal to the series. Next is the Mass Effect series. This one I don't even really need to describe, I don't think. Everybody knows Mass Effect and how big this game was. And how big of a letdown the ending was of the first or of the third game. So they had to go back and rework a few things. But even with that in mind, it was still an amazing game. That was like the only point in the entire series that kind of was a boner killer, so to speak. But up until that point, the choices, the stories, the emotion, like just how in-depth everything was. It just kept making you want more. And then when you beat the game, you could completely go turn around and play the exact opposite way and see what that was like. Because the game was made based off of your choices. And what was really cool is if you had all the series together, characters that lived or died in the previous game would or would not show up in the next game. And that would affect certain scenarios as well. Like, it was very, very well thought out and put together. Now, let's get into a fighter game. Mortal Kombat. I stopped playing at like Mortal Kombat 9 or something because I thought it was getting too juggly. But you know what, that's my personal preference. I'm not good with super techie things. That's why I don't play games like Blaze Blue and things like that. It's not because I don't think they're good games. I don't have the savvy for them. But Mortal Kombat, I played up until about Mortal Kombat 9 or 10. And it's still going on now, and I still like looking up videos because I think it's a really good, well put out series. And I'm sure anybody who's a fan of the series will say, like, yeah, I'd likely play any more that they put out too. And they put joke characters even in there too sometimes. Like now they have like Terminator and Ghost Rider and all that in there. So they're branching out to other people too and other series. They're not just staying to themselves. They're trying to expand a bit. And I think really the thing that really got its name were the fatalities. Like when the first Mortal Kombat had that, the mechanic of fatalities took everybody by surprise. Nobody had ever seen that in a video game up until Mortal Kombat. And in fact, one of the versions actually was censored because of that. But it's known great success and is still going strong even today. Next one, Left 4 Dead 2 by Valve, the infamous company that can't count to 3. Left 4 Dead 2 was made well over a decade ago, and yet even to this day, you can still find a very, very, very active online fan base. Always playing the multiplayers or survival modes or whatever. Like it is not dead at all. And a lot of people are really wishing that they would actually get a Left 4 Dead 3, and there have been like speculations and like mock trailers for a Left 4 Dead 3, but it never panned out to anything. But if they ever did make a Left 4 Dead 3, you can be damn sure I would play it, because I still play Left 4 Dead 2 a hell of a lot myself. Next is Half-Life. This is another one that everywhere I go when it's a first-person shooter, whether it's Half-Life or not, I'm always going to find someone in the comments saying, when are we going to get Half-Life 3? And this is another first-person shooter, and it's dark. It's kind of like, Aliens, I guess. I don't know too much about the Half-Life series, all that much. I didn't really delve into it. But I have watched, like, previews and gameplays of it. And I gotta say, the head crab things, those creep the hell out of me. It reminds me of Aliens, from Aliens vs. Predator. Or, well, just Aliens. Next, the Mario series. Mario is a well-known and beloved series that goes really across all sorts of genres. It goes from just a platformer to a fighter game to really anything. Racing, which, yeah, that one is well known for destroying relationships, from what I hear. I don't play it too much. But as you can see here, there's like, again, close to like probably 12 to 16 games starting in 1985 all the way to 2017. So, again, another very, very popular sequel, ZA, on all sorts of different platforms. Next, we have Kirby. Again, another highly, highly popular series. I used to play Kirby's Dream Land and Kirby Superstar. I haven't really played any after that, but of the ones I played, I've thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed them. And I always like seeing little memes or artwork of the little pink pudge ball who's a walking black hole of death. Next, Metroid. Now, I always find it funny because we have a lot of these feminists out here saying, well, women need more representation and be shown as more than just like the damsel in distress. Yet they never seem to remember what Metroid was. Metroid originally, people thought Metroid was a guy. And then at the end of the series of the game, when you beat it, she takes off her suit and reveals that no, it's actually a chick the whole time. And everybody's like, holy crap, this chick is a badass. And to this day, from the time she first started to today, she's kept that going. Like, she's known as one of the biggest female badasses in video game history. Like, yeah, she definitely has a lot of fan art of her because she is quite attractive, but she's also very, very well known and very well beloved for being one of those women that she's going to be saving you, not the other way around. Next, Resident Evil. The original Resident Evil games, when I watched them, I never played them, but I watched them. They scared the shit out of me. Like, these games with their ambience, their story, the enemies, the way they set things up, it was like a living nightmare for the player, because they never knew when something was going to jump out at them. They never knew, well, did I have enough ammo or meds or whatever. And it's exploded from a really good horror game almost to like more, I would say, action horror now, because I don't think any of the newer ones are quite on the level of the original when it comes to fear factor, but they are still like edge of your seat a lot of the time, especially when you got like Mr. X or whatever his name was following you, because no matter what you do, you can't kill him. He's just lumbering after you the whole time. And if he catches you, well, GG's. Next, Smash Bros. A really fun, basic, no real story to it, but amazingly popular series that everybody loves to see a new addition to. My friends at a group I go to on every Tuesday and Thursday, they're always playing Super Smash Bros. They love the game, and holy crap, are those guys good. Like, I try and play, and I just walk off the edge because I lose track of my character. But these guys are like almost professional level. And every time something new with the Smash Bros. Comes out, they're getting it. And they're still having huge tournaments down in EVO to see who is the true best player of Smash Bros. And some people, literally, that is their career. That is their job, is to get so good that they can make money off of it. And I don't see any people trying to outdo each other in The Last of Us 2. Next one, the Duke Nukem series. A dude who's... I will actually kind of concede for once and say he is a bit misogynistic. But you know what? At the same time, just because of how he is, that's what makes him lovable. He's a misogynistic, self-absorbed, fucking badass, cigar smoking badass. And just the way he comes across, he does it right to make himself likable. And you know that you're supposed to be playing him, so it makes you feel like a badass. They don't make him an asshole just to be an asshole. And it's just like, oh yeah, it's that guy over there. Like, no, like, you like him because of how his personality is. He's a no fucks to give. He just lays it all on the table. He likes his women, he likes his sex, he likes his cigars, and he likes kicking the shit out of aliens and pig cops. I only really played the first and second one. And from what I hear, the newest one did kind of shit the bed a bit, but I've never played. I've just seen screenshots, and from what I've seen, screenshots and gameplay. From what I've seen, I think it's okay, but never actually playing it. You know, I can't really make a definitive comment. But the ones I have played, I loved them. Next is Quake 2. Another first-person shooter that has great music. It's rocked up a lot of the time. It's gothic style. And this one, it came out probably when I was like early high school or just before high school. And it got you on the edge of your seat a lot of the time too. Whether it's because you're rocking out to the music or because you're trying to stay alive. It's not quite the same as Doom. Doom is more hell on earth, Whereas Quake just seems to be more like gothic fantasy, if I remember correctly. It's been so long since I played, like literally about 20 years. But from what I remember of Quake, it was an awesome game. Next, the GTA series. Everybody knows GTA, no matter where you've started from. And even if you haven't played it, you've at least heard about it. This game lets you do literally anything you want with no consequences. You can commit murder, you can play as the nice guy, which I don't see why you would, because that's really exactly against what Grand Theft Auto is, but it's up to you. Hell, they've even made mods, like on the channel Gray Still Plays, one of my favorite YouTubers, who makes comedic content out of it now. And every single one that I've played, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Vice City, all of them were super absorbing. Like, I'd play those games for hours. And like, even if you weren't playing the story, you could just go around and do random bullshit and be happy and content for hours and hours and hours on end. Like, you didn't even have to touch the story. There's just that much to do and that much to explore. Next one, Endless Ocean 2. I cannot tell you how many hours I spent playing this game. I played the first game and I would literally spend my entire day, if I had like nothing planned, I would literally play the entire day just swimming around, taking pictures of fish and finding sunken treasure. And that's because the music is so calming. It actually teaches you some interesting facts about the things that you find, like, because you're supposed to be a marine biologist. And it just absorbs you and you just lose all track of time. And there's like no true enemies in the game, or at least not in the first one. So you didn't have to watch out where you were going or anything. It was literally do what you want for as long as you want until you're happy. And it's another one where I actually downloaded some of the music because I liked it so much. I could be having the shittiest day on earth, and I would just throw this game on, and my whole day would just get better because it was my little escapism. It was one of those just stupid turn your brain off and enjoy kind of games. Next is probably the most famous of all, the Final Fantasy series. I don't think I really need to explain much or say how Final Fantasy is a better sequel upon sequel upon sequel, or even like additions to an already sequel, like Final Fantasy 13-2. Though that's debatable. Some people didn't like Final Fantasy 13. I personally enjoyed it. Didn't care so much for 13-2, but I like 13. But I digress. This series is like the epitome of gaming. And I don't see it ever dying out anytime soon. Like, I'm making a huge list, but really all I really would have to do is list Final Fantasy. There you go. Better sequels than The Last of Us 2. And I've played Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2, 13, 13-2, and I've enjoyed all of them. And I really hope that the Final Fantasy series keeps coming out and it keeps knowing success for a long, long time to come. Next one is this one, Max's Big Bust, number 2. And you might think, by looking at it, well, wait a minute, I thought you said you weren't going to put any anime stuff on here. You didn't want to include the weeb shit. You said you could do a list without including a single game. And you're right. While it may look like quote-unquote weeb shit, it actually isn't. This game was produced, made, scripted, everything in Australia. This is a 100% authentically Australian game. It's got nothing to do with Japan at all. So therefore, that's why I'm adding it to the list. Because when you say anime, people think, Japan. Japan, China, Korea. But it isn't. So therefore, but on to why I say it's better. It's a game that is kind of dating sim, but mostly a detective's visual novel. And you have to go through and do your own investigations, try and find evidence, to try and find what the case culprit is, or who I should say. And then you can make relationships with your coworkers to get different endings, get different reactions. I played the first game a shit ton, and I still have to get the first route. But they just recently came out with this game. Actually, I think just in January. And from the looks of it, this game is just as good as the first. I've really got to delve into it some more, but from what I can see so far, I would automatically put it better than The Last of Us 2. Next, Street Fighter series. A classic fighting game that, again, was around when I was a kid. Since 35, it would have been, like 1986, something like that, because I'm going on 34 right now. So, again, I would say it's pretty successful if it could get 35 years worth of games into it. And it's another one of those that is still very, very sought after, very heavily played by its fan base. You can find tournaments that go on that you can win money for if you win them. And it's got actually animes, and I believe it even does have some comics based off of this series too. So again, another very, very successful, much better, long-lived sequel and more than The Last of Us 2. Next, Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero is just a fun, make you just get up and groove kind of game. It's a music game. It's a rhythm game. But they have so many good songs in this series that sometimes you would just throw it on just to play those couple of songs before you went out and did whatever you were going to do today. And the difficulty spikes that went on some of these songs was absolutely nuts. And to see people get through these was insane. And I don't think I ever heard of a single Guitar Hero game not doing well. Or having poor choices in music. Next one, Dance Dance Revolution. Pretty much the exact same to Guitar Hero, and I actually think it was the predecessor to Guitar Hero, because I think it actually came out before Guitar Hero did. But I could be wrong on that. But instead of playing a makeshift guitar, you dance on a special pad. And based on where you put your feet, you would get the reactions that you wanted. And you try and dance to the rhythm of the song. And my God, the workout you get from playing this game, if you're good at it, can rival some of my hardest workouts at martial arts. Like, it makes you sweat if you go hardcore on this game. Like, it's not just a game, it is a literal workout. Next one, Aliens vs. Predator. This has got comics, it's got movies, it's got games. Like, what more do I need to say? You can't, how can you not say that already it's not better than The Last of Us 2 in that regard? Last of Us 2 doesn't have anything to its name, aside from that second game, if I'm right. It doesn't have a super deep lore that the comics have. Like, there's dozens of comics. It's got, I would say, at least 10 games worth, all from different perspectives and genres. Like you got the first person shooters of Alien vs Predator. You've got Aliens vs Predator Extinction, which is much like played like StarCraft, and I played the hell out of that one. And yeah, it's got the movies. That one's kind of up in the air. I thought they were okay, but I'm kind of a Predator simp, and so I thought they kind of made the Preds look weak, but that's on me. Next one, Metal Gear. A lot of people know this one almost as much as they know Doom. Solid Snake and his... this one I haven't played since the first, so I can't really remember too much about it, but I know that he goes undercover and he's trying to stop the Metal Gear. And then it's made tons and tons of sequels since then, and which you can see in here. I don't really know why Titanic is in there, or why GoldenEye, because GoldenEye's got nothing to do with Metal Gear as far as I know. But it's a game all about stealth, all about managing your resources, all about thinking abstract. I remember when I played the original Metal Gear, I got to that boss that could read your inputs. And the only way I was able to beat this boss was to look up how to do it, because I literally could not figure out. No matter how long I played, I spent hours on this goddamn boss and couldn't figure it out. Then I figured out you had to switch your controller port so that he couldn't, quote unquote, read your mind. But there's Metal Gear Solid, there's Metal Gear Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid Snake, and as you can see, the Phantom Pain, all these other ones. Like, I can't name them all. But it's an incredibly popular series. And hell, they even made death battles off of them on the Screw Attack channel. There was Raiden versus Wolverine, and what was it? It was Snake versus... Oh, I can't remember the other guy, but I think he was an archaeologist of some kind or something. But another incredibly popular series. Next one, the Legacy of Kain series. Not everybody may know this series, but you got to check this series out. The lore and story of this game is nuts. I must have beaten Blood Omen 2 about 20 times. And I can still remember all the boss battles, a lot of the dialogue, why Kain is doing what he's doing. And that's the cool thing, because you're not actually playing a good guy, per se. Kain is actually quite the asshole. And he makes it straight up front known that he'll kill and backstab and betray anybody who gets in his way to his goals of ruling Nosgoth. In fact, Soul Reaver follows Raziel, who was one of his lieutenants. And because Raziel gained wings before Kain did, he evolved before Kain did, he actually tore his wings off and tossed him into the void, or the soul tornado, or whatever they called it. And basically semi-killed Raziel because he figured he was a threat to him. So, Kain is not a good guy by any means. He is 100% an anti-hero, and in some ways is a straight-up villain when you're playing the Soul Reaver games. But he's a vampire who was originally a noble and was killed. And he is basically on his way to try and gain power so that he can be the almighty ruler of Nosgoth. But it is an amazing game. And it's very gothic, very dark, but at the same time very endearing. And all the characters are memorable. Like my fight with Magnus in Blood Omen 2, where I couldn't figure out how to truly kill him. Got his life bar to 0 and he still wouldn't die. So now I'm figuring out, how do I kill this guy? Because he legit has the ability to snipe you in one shot. And then when you do beat him, you find out he didn't betray you whatsoever. And he's actually still very loyal to Cain. But I won't go further in that. All I'll say is you need to play this series. It is awesome. And finally, Tomb Raider. Everybody knows Lara Croft. She's got movies, she's got games, she's got books. We'll say that. Both legitimate and not so legitimate. She is a symbol in many different ways. And also a perfect example of one of the biggest female badasses in all of video game history. It brings you puzzles, it brings you problem-solving skills, stealth, and there was that one level where you had to kill a T-Rex or something, if I remember right, in the original. But she is an archaeologist, and she just raids tombs for the treasures. I can't really remember the original story of the original game, but she's gone down in history as one of the biggest badasses, probably next to frickin' Metroid, or Samus, I should say. Metroids are the aliens. But, yeah, she's next to Samus Aran. She's probably the most famous badass that I could think of. And those are my examples of better video games sequels than The Last of Us 2. And keep in mind, every one of these were done straight off the top of my head. I didn't have to look up any of these. I just literally listed them straight from memory. Some of them I've got much more practice with and know how about than others. But I can definitely guarantee you that every single one of these, just from when they first appeared to now, to how they're still surviving today, proves that they're better sequels than The Last of Us 2. If we see a Last of Us 3, I'm going to be really surprised. But that'll do for today's video. They wanted to list better sequels than The Last of Us, saying we couldn't do it. I gave you probably 30 or so. A little more, a little less. So if you like this kind of stuff, I can definitely make more. Yeah, I'll leave it for there. And I hope you keep enjoying anime and Anime for Life.